Hey Redditors! Lately, I've been thinking about how greedy and desperate people can be when they have a chance. Calling it a second chance might be a little too much. It might be a thousandth chance or something. Ever since we were children, my parents have liked my older brother over me. He was the ever so mature golden child, and I was the eternally immature black sheep. He brought home all the academic achievements while I was the average kid. Suppose a quiz is going on, and my brother would score 95 while I scored 75. Guess who gets all the attention? My noble brother. I never had a problem with my brother being more studious and intelligent than me. I never had a problem with him bringing in gold medals. I had a problem with being either too invisible or being exposed to negative attention. It's not like I was useless. While he was more logical, I was more creative. He barely scored B plus in art and music, and I scored A grades and A plus grades. But collectively, my brothers scored more in all subjects, so somehow my A grades don't matter. Honestly, I've been exposed to so much criticism at home that I have grown thick-skinned now. Living with narcissists under the same roof wasn't easy, especially when my brother wasn't at home. In his absence, I got all the negative attention. If I picked up the wrong spoon, I would not hear the end of it. They were not obsessed with cutlery, it was just an assumption. Eventually, I started studying harder but didn't score anything beyond 85. There was too much pressure on me, and I always failed them. High grades in art and music had zero effect on them because it would be useless if I joined their business. To be a part of their company, I had to be a pro in logistics and finance, which were both my weaknesses. My family was also critical of body image, and thus being curvy exposed me to body shaming by both outsiders and family. I had been chubby my whole life. People assumed that I ate a lot, and I did honestly. I ate a lot and then vomited everything out. I would tire myself out with excessive exercise and then keep eating more street foods and packaged food, and then forced it out of my system. Yes, I had bulimia nervosa. That one time I lost weight, but I still had round hips, which were very unwomanly. I kept on trying, but eventually gave up. The way I was treated at my house affected my romantic life as well. My parents and my brothers patronized me a lot. They never gave me a chance to grow up, and yet they got confused as to how immature I was for my age. I was really underconfident and needed a lot of validation. Plus, all the body shaming eventually made me wear baggy clothes all the time. I remember how I hated looking at my reflection in the full-size mirror. Eventually, I fell for dominating older guys, and I liked it a lot. I had a male classmate who was 5 months younger than me. He took advantage of how insecure I was of my body and tried to convince me into showing off. It was my senior crush, my current husband, who protected me from that creepy classmate of mine and had him arrested. He was surprisingly different from my previous exes. We eventually started dating, and he treated me as an equal rather than a child who was incapable of deciding for her. I felt safe and worthy around him. He also kind of kept his distance from me. I didn't like that at first and thought he was patronizing me just like others, but then he explained to me that he didn't want me to do something that I would deeply regret later. And I'm really glad that I listened to him. Anyways, here I am away from my bio parents for more than 25 years. I got married in 2002 when I was 22 years old, and my husband was 27 years old. Now I have a loving husband and a lovely 17-year-old daughter. She will be turning 18 in a few days. My husband always says that she is a lot like me, creative, stubborn, empathetic, and a whole lot of impulsive. But she is also a genius, mature, and protective girl, just like her father. We have taught our daughter everything we learned the hard way. She rarely had crushes on self-absorbed, arrogant guys and actively avoided them. She even rejected their approach. She is currently dating her classmate, who is almost a year younger than her. He is a great guy, and she often invites him over for dinner. Looking at them reminds me of me and my husband when we were in our second year of dating. It's nice to see my daughter getting everything that I never had. After all, I promised to put an end to this favoritism and generational trauma once and for all. A few days ago, my daughter reported that her grandparents are trying to approach me. My daughter knows what they did to me, and thus she is extremely weary of them approaching her. She said they have been really sweet to her, offering her gifts which she refused. She was skeptical of them, and rightfully so. They have been asking for my address, but she refused. I wanted to drop her to school, but she said she can manage and I trust her. But I don't trust my parents, so I convinced her to let me drop her to school and back for the time being. Although she requested me to let her deal with them, and I did. I trusted her and knew that she would not entertain her grandparents. I watched everything from a hidden spot, and she knows that. Yes, teenagers are impulsive. She sure is, but she is also perceptive and cautious. I know that me and my husband have raised her well. My daughter finally told me that her grandparents have become unbearable and that she can't handle them further, and thus it was my time to intervene. So I invited them to my least favorite venue, more like I don't frequent the place. Now that I have seen them up close, I could see all the signs of old age. Looking into their eyes, I could see desperation and disappointment and flickers of anger. Yes, thanks to all the childhood trauma, I have become a pro in reading body language. You know how awkward it gets to chat with people after years of no contact? It began with small talk with lots of awkward pauses, and eventually they got to the main topic of discussion. So my family, I mean, not my family business, has suffered a huge financial blow because of their golden child. Honestly, the way they described how my brother failed them disgusted me. The way they used to boast about my brother being multi-talented was a stark contrast to how they are discussing my brother. They said, and I quote, "Your good-for-nothing older brother has made a major disaster." The first thing I noticed about this whole conversation was how they were referring to their golden child as "your good-for-nothing older brother," instead of their usual tagline, "my extraordinary child." From what I have gathered from my parents ever since he married his girlfriend, now wife, he has been growing more and more rebellious. Not blaming him because my parents deserve this after practically micromanaging my brother's life. They told me how he married the woman they despise instead of an arranged marriage that would profit their company and initiate a merger. My brother, as the final act of rebellion, made them lose an old and beneficial client and join the rival company. After narrating and possibly exaggerating my brother's impotence and impudence, they started praising me as if I was their golden child. It was all okay and manageable till they brought my daughter into the conversation. They had been trying to exercise their right as grandparents, trying hard to convince me that they have every right to be in my daughter's life. They tried to guilt trip me, saying that I was being a bad daughter and a cruel monster who was keeping her daughter away from her grandparents. They were also saying how I have spoiled my daughter and practically brainwashed her into believing that her grandparents are a monster. Honestly, I never told her that her grandparents are monsters. I just told them that they were negatively opportunistic. They kept on bringing up my past to prove how I was letting my past affect my present and practically micromanaging my daughter's life. You know, people usually see people the way they treat them. They assumed that I am micromanaging my daughter's life the way they did mine. They tried their best. They had no idea that I had become resistant to their charms and antics, so I threatened to sue them and left the cafe. Update 1. Hey everyone, thank you for supporting me. I didn't think I would get this many responses in such a short time. I have guessed it right. My mom and dad are still reaching out and they are trying hard to get access to my daughter, and they are failing miserably. My daughter informed me how she annoyed them, and honestly, I couldn't keep my laughter in. My husband doubled over on the sofa after listening to everything. She said how angry her grandparents were and called her a spoiled brat. They tried their best to guilt trip her, but my daughter is always 2 steps ahead of them. Update 2. Hey guys, I was finally able to get in touch with my brother. It's been a long time since I have talked to him. We had long, hearty conversations, and finally, I told him what happened. He was angry with them. He told me how they kept on controlling him. He also said that his wife practically saved him from them. He advised me to file a restraining order, and I did. Update 3. Hey guys, it's been 2 weeks and the restraining order is now effective. My folks tried their best to keep up their agenda, and I had no choice but to report them based on stalking and harassment. They had a hard time in court and had to pay a heavy price. I don't want them to ruin my daughter's life the way they did mine, and they went way too far with their ambition. I left them, my brother left them, and now I won't let them come near my daughter, and I know my brother will do the same when he has kids of their own. Thank you guys for listening to me, supporting me, and giving me good advice. I will forever be grateful to you. NTA, God forbid anyone has parents like this. How could someone do this to their own children? NTA, they don't deserve to be parents and grandparents. What they did to you was unfair. I hope they learn from their mistakes. I highly doubt that, but I still hope so. Next story. Last year, one of my 40 female partners, 47 male relatives, first got very sick and then died. While he was in the hospital for 7 months, we regularly dropped by to look after his house, fix the garden, and make sure nothing was amiss and such. Now, one of the neighbors is a real consolation prize. As she does not like to garden, she had the garden, front and back, of the property she has rented filled up with rocks. I think it's stupid and ugly, but as long as she's happy, more power to her. In her garden. Said neighbor started pestering my partner and me about things she wanted changed in the relative's garden. Bushes cut off, plants removed, that stuff. She also claimed that the way we were gardening was attracting harmful bugs, which, when I showed them to a friendly biologist, were confirmed to be wood sorrel seeds. Anyway, I talked everything through with her to confirm what needed doing and removed any plants that were threatening to intrude into her garden. Ivy, blackberry, etc. The only thing I did not cut was one hazel branch, as it was in the middle of a dry spell. Cutting them then is bad for the plant, and we were planning to relocate the bush anyway. I explained this to her and asked if she could wait until spring. She said it was fine and let me get back to gardening. The next time I dropped by, someone had cut the branch in question. To be clear, legally, she was allowed to cut anything growing over her property, and the branch was approximately 10 centimeters across the border. I'm just really annoyed she said it was fine to wait and then hacked at the plant the moment we were not looking. But as my partner's family was worried about the relative, I decided to let it slip and kept taking care of the gardens. By now, we have cut and relocated the hazel as promised. There was an empty spot in the middle of the relative's front yard, and I decided to put some mint there. In case you do not know, mint is a very useful plant. Insects like it. You can make it into tea. It smells delicious and keeps mosquitoes away. And it's unstoppable. I know it will spread into the neighbor's yard and mess up her peaceful rock paradise. And it is all but impossible to get rid of. It spreads along underground root tendrils. My father thinks this is hilarious. Obviously, I got my petty qualities from him. My partner, on the other hand, thinks I may have been unnecessarily mean. The family plans to sell the property, so by the time this problem becomes obvious, we will be long gone. I have also ordered a bee-friendly mix to freshen up the grass in the backyard, as she complained the grass was too high growing and we had to rake out most of it. Can't sell a house with a bare dirt backyard, right? So am I the a-hole for planting mint and other bee-friendly plants in our dead relative's garden? Edit. As many people have asked about it, I would like to add that this kind of mint is native to our region and it can be found growing wild at the edges of forests. So it's not an invasive species, just a pitta species. NTA, it's a plant, it's not harmful. If she was allergic to XYZ and you planted XYZ anyway, then you'd be an a-hole. But not for this. Plant what you want if it's within your property. YTA. I know gardeners feel spurned when someone intrudes, but it's just a tree and she was legally allowed to cut it. Her crime is being dishonest about her intentions, but that doesn't warrant you ruining literally everything for both your garden and future residents. But I will say you shouldn't try to make amends and reveal this information. It's a done deal, and you get into more trouble if you try to make up for it. Next story. My friend, who's getting married in a few weeks, sent out invitations with a specific dress code: black tie with black suit for men and floor-length purple or rose gown for women. I don't own any floor-length gowns. I asked the bride if I would be okay to wear a knee-length dress with dressy shoes, but she insisted that I follow the dress code or not attend the wedding at all. A little backstory. She introduced this guy she's been dating to our friend group. She told us they would be getting married in 6 months, and we were happy for her. She specifically told us about the dress code she had in mind, which we all agreed to. But the issue is, she sent us a wedding invite after about a month of this meeting that she's getting married in 2 weeks. Her boyfriend is traveling abroad for a year for work, as they decided to have the wedding before he left. I was in no way prepared for this financially because the dress our friend group suggested was a bit pricey. I only agreed to it initially because 6 months was enough to save up for it. I decided that I didn't want to spend a lot of money that I don't have on a dress I would never wear again, and so I politely declined the invitation. I told my friend that I wished her all the best on her special day, but I couldn't attend due to the dress code. She got angry and accused me of being selfish and unsupportive. She said that I should have made an effort to follow her dress code, as it was important to her to have a certain aesthetic for her wedding, and that she informed me earlier, so she feels I should have made preparations towards it. She then said I could rent one. When I checked the rental price, it wasn't necessarily cheap either. I would need my whole month's pay to rent the dress. I don't understand why not attending is better than attending without the dress code. Now I feel guilty for declining the invitation, and some of our mutual friends have also expressed disappointment in my decision. I understand that weddings are important events and it's important to show support for your friends, but I also feel like it's unreasonable to expect everyone to buy expensive clothes just for one occasion. And in my case, on such short notice, it's 1 week to the wedding and I feel terrible. Can I make it right? AITA for refusing to attend my friend's wedding due to the dress code? Edit. I guess I didn't specify. A lot of the links you guys sent are simple dresses. She wants something like a ball gown. It is sophisticated. She apparently saw it in a cartoon or something where all princesses wore it. She is not expecting a lot of people at her wedding. She initially planned about 60 people. I'll check if I can find cheaper ways. I'm a student. I'm given an allowance at the end of the month by my school. After payment of rent and bills, I have just a little over 300 euros to spend. I haven't even been paid yet for the month, and the wedding is this weekend. Also, thank you for all your comments. Edit 2. Thank you all for everything. I was able to attend my friend's wedding today. I found a rose gown, more like pink, and I wore it. I went up to her to announce my presence. She was too busy to comment on the dress or thank me for coming. Apparently, all our other friends had something to do, like in charge of food, decor, but I had nothing to do. So I sat quietly throughout and left quietly after the wedding. I don't think she will even realize I'm missing in the photos. Now I wish I stayed at home, but it's all part of life, I guess. NTA, setting a dress code is more like formal business casual cocktail attire. not dictating a costume for your guests. Now, are people going to keep pulling shit like this? Sure. But it's not wrong of you to say no thank you. Won't be able to make it. NTA, your friend has every right to set a dress code for the wedding, but she doesn't get to be angry when people who can't follow the dress code RSVP no. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl